In this video, I'm going to take a look at what the drawn details are required for inserting a stove. But before we do that, I'm going to take a look at some of the varieties of stoves that are available. So there's many different manufacturers. Here we can see a stove which has got a high flue gathering and inserted into the chimney breast. Same here with a fairly rustic look. Again, the high flue gathering, the flue going up into the gathering, which is high. And this one here is a timber frame, and you can see it's a larger type flue, which is obviously insulated inside. And then we have other types of varieties of how the appearance is, where you have arches and decorative appearances there, and the hearth extending out. This is a different one where it's an insert. It fits in flush with the fireplace, which is a different type of stove. And here we have the flue comes out. The flue radiates heat, so this one here actually has a boiler incorporated into the flue, so that it's making use of that heat to heat up water. And you can see the stove here as well, to set up on a pedestal, and again it's into a higher flue gathering. There's other details that may come with some manufacturers here. They've got modules that are used for the flues, and a specific type of flue which can be used in certain situations, maybe in a timber frame build as well. And most of these documents that are come out with different manufacturers, they'll give you specifications on what the heat output is into the room and how much heat goes to water. In this case, we have a back boiler in this here which heats the water, and the dimensions as well, too, typical dimensions that will be with each of these. You can see here the similar kind of setup. This one is different. It's an insert, and you've got two types here. One is dry, which means it just heats the room. There's nothing, it doesn't do anything else. And the other one is wet, which has got a back boiler. In the workbook, you can see there's a few wee details here which I would change. We could get away with their insulation running under here, but it would have to be increased to 200. And one difficulty I have here with this particular one, well, the hearth here should be extended out a little, but the flue, the arrangement with the flue, the space in here, there should not be a horizontal run of more than 150 millimeters where you have the flue, and that would be a no-no here. So the other thing that has on it here would be kind of going back to old cookers and that sort of thing, where it would be a soot plate for cleaning the flue. You've got a 100mm wall or block wall at the end going to an external wall, so you may get away with it in this one here. The soot plate, though, would have been a feature which would have been on the internal walls of cookers and that sort of thing, and just used for access to clean, which will be okay. But again, we're getting into territory where there's too much of a run. If that had been angled, you would get away with it, but with the horizontal run you wouldn't. So back to the different types of stoves here. We have an insert one here, which is a dry and a wet one, which has got the back boiler. You can see up around the details of the sizes that are in each of these. It shows where the pipes will be connected. When they be inserted into the fireplace here, you'd have to have access in around them, so panels can be made up to cover where the pipe work would be, and behind each of these here. That's what I'm highlighting in the two pictures above. So if we go to the fireplace and the concrete floor, which I've done in a previous video, if you follow the details as in this here, the only major difference is you wouldn't have to have this fire back detail here, and you could just have it minus the fire back. And I've cut out a little insert here, and you would see the way the door finishes flush with the front edge of the flue gathering, which would be plastered. I don't have an awful lot of space above this here, so the flue gathering could be increased maybe in a height from 700 to 800 or even 900 to allow for a bit more access, and a panel would cover that over at the end of the day, and it would also allow you a bit more room to get in to connect the flue. So you can see there that I've only got 100mm. That's not really a lot of space to get in to the top of that there, so that would want to be increased to allow for just easier access. And you can see that there's space at the back of the fireplace as well, or the insert, and the insert can be jointed up with a special flue liner, a twin skin flue liner, which will be doubly insulated, which just really some manufacturers insist on it being used because there's no air leakage, no chances of condensation, depending on what's going into. If it's a new build, the flues could be actually used, and you would have to have a seal placed on those. But the insert itself, you can see it has plenty of room to fit into an open fireplace. Obviously without the fire back, there's no need for the fire back anymore, so the insert could be placed in there. And if it's wet, it needs a bit more space to get access to pipework, so across the width and the height you would have to have room for getting in for those connections to be made. And you can see the heat transfer as well too wouldn't be as great when you have that space at the back of the stove, so you probably would get away with a 100mm block wall, or internal block wall in that. So here, moving on, and this detail is exactly the same as the other detail of the concrete ground floor, but I've increased this up to a 1200mm height for the flue gathering. And just to illustrate it here, we have something like this here, where we would have the stove recessed into the chimney breast, which is the opening, and the gathering would be that bit higher, and you would see a stainless steel flue which would be present in the room. And again, other details there where it might be finished. You can see facings are placed on the chimney breast, which I haven't got. I'm just leaving it plain, which would extend it on out a little bit. The simplest one would be a rectangular one, and you can see here that I have it shown where I have 600mm flue, and there's another 200 going up into the gathering, and that could be connected using the twin flue liner. Depending on the size of the stove itself, there'll be fairly excessive space there, but the flue itself would radiate heat out into the room as well. And that could be brought up to a height though of say 800mm and inserted into the flue if there was a pedestal or legs, or maybe it's a bigger size stove. And then you would have to seal up around where the connection would be into the flue liners if you're using the existing ones, or else if you're using your twin skinned flue liner. An alternative to that may be where you would have a wet stove which would have a boiler on it, and you may want to have some manufacturers recommend that you would have a spacing of 150mm at the back of the stove for the heat transfer, and as well as that too, even for radiating heat out into the room, that the stove might be more efficient when it is placed a little further out from the gathering. And you can see the connections here that I have, it's got a bend in the flue, and that would be stainless steel again running up, and the same kind of situation where you would either use the flues or use a twin skinned flue liner which would run the whole way up to the top of the chimney. And that should show you or explain to you how you might go about putting the stove in, which is not really any different to our drawn for the fireplace on the ground floor. I'm sticking in a few dimensions here, and there's a few details that you might want to follow that are on this here. Things like ventilation into the room. The angle of the bend cannot exceed or should not exceed 37.5 degrees. Where you might see 45-degree bends used is the only thing maybe to watch out for. You wouldn't use a flexible bend in that there, you would use stainless steel. And the way the flue would be jointed, different manufacturers will have different methods of that, but the likes of fire rope, fire cement, possibly used to make a tight seal around the flue gathering and down into the flue gathering, which I haven't highlighted here, but it would have to be airtight. And maybe even the use of the twin skinned flue maybe would be another option as well too. So there you have some of the details for the likes of the stove. General sizes, it's just about general shape and that sort of thing for when you're drawing this here, because you'll be under pressure maybe in an exam situation drawing it. And sizings and details are as would be with the open fireplace as well too, trying to get as many elements right as you possibly can.